Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in. Today we are sewing a half-length off-shoulder bodice that has a bustier. Just follow me to do this and it happens in a quick time. Now the first thing I'm going to do is that I put my fabric on fold because I'm working directly on my fabric and not using a pattern. And then whatever I have as the quarter of my bust measurements, I just added 6 inches. Mine is 9.1, so plus 6 inches is what I have on fold, and then I'm just ironing it out so that everything is looking neat and pressed. After doing that, I draw a straight line at the apex of that fabric there, and then all my measurements is going to start from where the line is. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go off by 5 inches to represent the off shoulder, and then I will now put my vertical measurements, which will be the bust point, under bust and half length. Now whatever I have as those 3 measurements, I'm just adding half an inch so that when I use my lining to turn the fabric, it's going to fall on the exact measurement. So my bust point is 11.5. I just made it 12. My under bust is 14. I made it 14.5. And then my half length is 17, and I'm making it 17.5. So I'm just drawing out those lines, and then I'll use a straight ruler to connect everything together. Sorry for the background noise. So now that I have my vertical measurements, I'm going to move on to impute that. My nipple to nipple measurement is 4 plus half an inch. I'm going to use to join the bodies back when I put that, make it 4.5. So I just measured up 4.5 from the bust point to the half length, and then to be on a straight line. At that part, I'm going to add 1 inch to that 4.5 so that when I finish cutting it, it will not be looking funny. And that's just what I'm doing. After doing that, I just connect everything with a straight line. So now let me impute my dart. This is very simple and it happens quickly. On the half length, I'm measuring 1 inch towards the armhole side and then 1 inch towards the center. On the under bust, I'm going to measure 2 inches towards the armhole side and 1 inch towards the center. And after doing that, I'm just going to go for where my bust point is. I use a curve, just as you see me doing, like that, to join it. After using that curve, I'll get a straight line from the under bust straight to the waist, and then that's towards the middle part. I'm just also going to join it straight like that. So after doing all of that, I'm going to go to where that shoulder line is, and I will draw a 0.75 on either side of that line on the shoulder line. It's going to make the curviness of the off shoulder come out more. Just put 0.5, and then from those places I'll connect to where the bust point is, just like that. So just like that, I have my bustier that's drawn. I'm just going to use a pin to hold it here so that nothing shifts, because I like to cut it out now. But first, before I cut it out, let's put the shoulder measurement. Now for my off shoulder, I always use 5.5 as the width of the off shoulder, and it works perfectly for all shapes and sizes. 5.5. If the person is super plus size, you can just make it 6. And so after putting the 5.5, I take the calculation of the dart, which is 1.5. and then I had 1 inch for sewing allowance. Then you know that I went off by 5 inches, so I'm going to determine where my armhole is ending. Usually it's supposed to be 8, but I make it 9 so that there's ease at that shoulder, because if you make it 8, it's just going to be 3 and it will be tight. Trust me, I learned from experience. So there I'm just rechecking all my measurements so that I can draw a straight line for everything. Remember to add the allowance for the darts that you took plus 1 inch to use to join it, and that is what I did. So just curve it out like that. So after curving it out, I'm just putting quarter of my circumferences. Remember, I added 6 inches to it, and that's just what I'm doing, quarter of my circumferences plus 6 inches. When I finish sewing it, I'll now retake my measurement and remove any excess. This works for somebody that is just learning to sew a bustier, so that you don't make a mistake. So quarter of my bust measurement, quarter of my waist measurement is what I'll use at the under bust area and at the waist area. And just like that, my bustier is done. Pins are like your best friends when you're sewing, so just make sure you pin as you're cutting things so that you don't make any form of mistake. Now for a moment, I'm just going to put this aside. Since I've already pinned it and ironed it, it's not going to shift. Before I cut out the dart, I just want to use it to measure out the back of the cloth, so that when I'm cutting the back, I'm not going to make any mistake. But first, I'm going to use this one to cut out the lining. So before I cut out the dart, I'm also joining the lining piece to it, so that the lining piece and the main piece are one. I'm using the same fabric to do the lining also. So after doing this, now I'm going to proceed to draw the bodies for the back. So for the bodies for the back, I'm just laying out the fabric. Whatever it is that you are going to put on fold is going to be quarter of your bust measurement plus 4 inches. Quarter of your bust measurement plus 4 inches, that's what I'm going to put on fold, so that you know for sure. I didn't really measure mine, but I'm just saying this to aid anybody that doesn't know how much fabric they want to put on fold. So just like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the zip allowance. Then I'm just measuring 1.5 inches, which is going to serve as my zip allowance. So after doing this, all my measurements are going to start from the line where the zip allowance line is. First, I'm going to put the armhole. Remember, we are going off by 5, and then the 5.5 also, which is the measurement for the chest circumference for the shoulder. Because there's no dart here, so I just put that 5.5 directly on that shoulder line, and then quarter of my bust measurement plus 2 inches. Quarter of my waist measurement plus 3.5 inches, where I'm going to use a 0.75 as the dart instead of 0.5. So after doing this, now we'll go to that waist point. I'm going to measure 0.75 there, and then at the shoulder line, I'm going to measure 1 inch. I'll just join the slanty line. It's actually very, very simple to do. See here, I already have the back of my bodies drawn out like that. Remember the zip allowance 0.75 at the waist and 1 inch at the shoulder line. didn't even know I was covering the frame. So yeah, I'm just cutting out the lining piece of the material. So after doing this now, I just put the iron to press it very well so that when I cut out the part where the zip allowance is straight, just like that, I have my back piece ready. Now, so that the waist part will not have any bulge at the zip, I went up by 1 inch at the middle part and just straightened it into where the allowance starts from. And that's what I'm doing to get rid of any form of zip bulge that might occur. So I want to put interfacing here, and I have this black interfacing. I've forgotten what it's called now, and that's just what I'm going to use to interface the fabric, just to give it a little bit of stiffness and structure. And here I made a little bit of mistake. I didn't cut my interfacing off first, but the interfacing has glue. So when I was ironing this, I just placed it on top one another and glued it. Now I've not even cut out my dart here because I want to cut the interfacing and the lining and the main bodies together, so that it saves time that way actually. So just see what I'm doing now. I'm cutting out the dart because I had everything pinned. It was easy. I just went down by 2 inches and connected it to where this dart line is, so that the neckline is not entirely straight. So what I'm doing there, I'm notching it. So there I have all my pieces ready. So just putting a slope there so that the neckline is not straight as well. So here I'm cutting the wording that I'm using the medium wording, and just see how I placed it. Make sure that the wording is at least 0.5 lower than the neckline. Don't let the wording enter the neckline, so that it's not going to be giving it a funny bulge. Here I don't want to cut the wording for the side pieces to be full, so I'm just trying to put it like this, so it's not exactly full. And I was managing my wording a little bit. Sorry, everything is expensive right now. Just cut it like that. As long as I'm not cutting it into the armhole and the neckline, we are fine. Then I'll iron on my interfacing with a steam iron and also with water. This wording, I don't know why it wasn't gluing, so I just used the glue to glue it down. Ironing with water is like really nice. It prevents your fabric from burning and makes things lay properly. The baby is awake. I can hear her in the background. Also putting notch on where the zip allowance is before I iron the interfacing. After adding all of the interfacing, I'll proceed to just pin up all the bodies and then join it. So after joining it, I realized that I had a little bit of excess towards the end there. So what I'm just doing is just bunch up a fabric, put it under where the bust bulge will be, and then measure to be sure that I have my waist measurement, which I do, and then I trim off the excess I have there. make sure that you measure it and then pin everything down nice and good before you do any form of trimming. And then you don't trim to the end, just trim into the waistline that you have so that you don't have shortage of any measurements there. Then open the dart, and after opening, use water and steam to iron it. After doing that, I just iron my interfacing on top of it also. I've never actually ironed interfacing on an open dart before, but it's not such a bad thing to do. I ironed it front and back, of course with steam and with water, so that everything lays nice and flat and looks good. So there I have it. Now I'm going to measure the what I'm measuring now is the band, which is going to serve as the sleeve for the off shoulder. My round shoulder is tape around my shoulder is 44, and then I have 5.5, which is the width of the off shoulder, times 4, so 22. 22 minus that 44, that is going to be 22. Then divide that 22 by 4 again, which is going to be what you have on fold when you want to measure the band. But I'm going to add 1 inch that I'm going to use to join it to the body, so that is half an inch on both sides. The width of the band is going to be 2.5, but I'll have 3.5 just to have allowance. Now I've measured that what I have, quarter of the band length at the top, and towards the bottom I'm going to measure 1.5 inches, which is going to make it be free when I want to move my arms up and down and it's not tight. So that is very, very important. Just measure quarter of the band measurement at the top plus 1 inch. Then towards that end, add the 1.5 and then curve it out like that. Also, make sure that you turn it with lining, or you can even turn it with bias if you don't have enough fabric. Just turn it so that it looks nice and good on the sleeve. After cutting it out like that, I just turned it with lining and then I ironed it. Now here I have my bodice. So I want to, remember I added 6 inches. So now I want to measure my bodice based on my body measurement plus 2 inches allowance. So here I'm also using the bulge technique and the clothes under the bulge technique, so that everything resembles like normal human body. And then I'll quarter of my bust measurement, and then add 2 inches. Make sure that when you want to measure your body measurement, you stretch out the places where the darts are, especially that waist, because there's likelihood that you might be adding to the measurement if you don't stretch it out. Just stretch it out and measure it properly. Trust me, it comes out nice when you bulge up the fabric under the where the breast is supposed to sit. It makes it look nice and easy, and then you have no issue at all. See how I'm just pinning everything as I'm doing, because I don't want to make any mistakes at all. That's why I'm always checking and checking, pinning and pinning again, like a lot of pins go into making this clothes. And there you have it, like that. So I'm going to now add the band sleeve that I cut out after I've already turned it and everything. So to what I'm doing there, I've not added lining to the fabric. So towards the armhole, I'll go down by half an inch, and then I'll add the band to it like that. Because I've not turned it with lining. So that before I turn it with lining, because I'm going to use the lining to close off the armhole so that it doesn't look rough. So just see the way I'm joining it like that. Cover the end. Then after joining for the left and the right, I'll now take my lining. First the front bodice lining, I'll just take it like that. After I've already ironed it open also and it's nice and clean. Remember that I did not shape out the lining after I shaped out the body, so the lining is still bigger than the bodies. When I finish joining the lining with the main bodies, then I can now iron and I'll trim off any excesses that I have. So first of all, I'll turn the front bodies with the lining. So after doing that, now I'll join the back lining with the back piece. Just see how I'm pushing it inside and make sure that your sewing is covering all the hem. And this is what it looks like after I already finished joining it. So I can now use my allowance to join the upper bodies, and then I already have the skirts. I can join it to the skirt part. So thank you for watching my video. Make sure that you be on the lookout for the next one. Bye.